What is going on with Microsoft? Everyone on the internet is going nuts.
You blew it!
Everyone's saying that Microsoft is blowing it, but here's the headline. Basically, Microsoft is weighing in the options of releasing their exclusives, as of right now, some Bethesda exclusives, multi-platform, mainly PlayStation 5. This could also mean maybe they're thinking about ways of launching it on Switch 2 whenever Nintendo announces their new console there. Because if you ask me, if I'm to be completely honest, the current Switch right now cannot handle a Starfield or this new Indiana Jones game coming out. The article I'm referring to right now is from The Verge. It was something that was kind of released over the weekend, yesterday, and people went nuts with it. And you could see the headline here: Microsoft weighs launching Indiana Jones on the PS5. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle could arrive on PS5 months after Xbox launch. Bethesda's upcoming Indiana Jones game is also tentatively set to launch on Sony's PlayStation 5 console. We got our first glimpse of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle during Microsoft's Xbox Developer Direct event last month, where it was announced for Xbox and PC. A source familiar with Microsoft's plan tells The Verge that Bethesda is also considering bringing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to PS5. A new multi-platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging inside Microsoft, we're told, with the company weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future. Indiana Jones appears to be part of this new wave of multi-platform games. Article continues to say that while Bethesda will launch its Indiana Jones games first as an Xbox console exclusive, it's currently set to have a rather short period of exclusivity, we're told. A release for PS5 is being considered for some months later, with Bethesda tentatively targeting a December 2024 launch for the Xbox and PC versions. Exact timing and platform availability for Indiana Jones could change, particularly as Microsoft's new multi-platform approach for Xbox games hasn't been yet finalized. Microsoft has been evaluating bringing certain Xbox exclusives to PS5 and Nintendo Switch in recent months. Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush have both reportedly been under cross-platform consideration, and we understand Microsoft has also looked into bringing other Xbox games to rival consoles. We're told that a Hi-Fi Rush announcement for non-Xbox platforms is expected in the coming weeks. Data mined game assets hinted at a release for PS5 and Nintendo Switch earlier this week. Xbox Era is also reporting that Microsoft is planning to bring Starfield to PS5, following the release of the game's Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC. So let's quickly evaluate, talk about this, think about this for a bit. I had always felt, and I've had multiple conversations with people about this, that Microsoft is slowly transitioning the way of Sega, where they are really going to be focusing a lot on their Game Pass platform, possibly licensing some of their games to other platforms. They are trying to solidify the software as a service kind of model for the video game industry. And in my opinion, so far, they've been doing a really great job. And this is me just speaking from experience. Nintendo Switch Online, which is not much to talk about because it's a whole bunch of horse shit. And it's just them re-releasing retro stuff for you guys to play and maybe have some perks when you play online. Push that aside, it's not even worth mentioning and talking about right now. PlayStation Plus has some unique benefits. Obviously, you need it if you want to play online multiplayer games with your friends. But as far as what you can play PlayStation related, they have this insane tiered system there where the highest tier, the most expensive tier, allows you to play more stuff. You also play on the cloud, yada yada, this and that. My opinion has been and still remains that it's not worth any of those major tiers, in my opinion. They don't have much to offer when it comes to next gen or current gen games to play off of those tiers. It's great if you want to catch up on the backlog of their game library that you haven't had a chance to play yet. It's a great service to sign up for and do all that if you don't want to go out and buy the game separately. But once you're done with all that, honestly, there's no reason to stay subscribed to that service. Now let's talk about Game Pass. With Game Pass, not only can you play on your console, if you're signed up for Game Pass Ultimate, which I believe is $16 a month, if I'm not mistaken, $15 a month, you get to also play on PC. Now, not all games are going to be available on both PC and console, but a good amount of them are. Huge plus if you are both a console player and a PC gamer. Plus, something that I learned recently that I wasn't even made aware of, saves are multi-platformed on Game Pass. Meaning, if you have a saved game from a game that you're playing on your Xbox and you happen to want to play it on PC, that save transfers over. And you can pull up your saved game on your PC. Now, I know PlayStation does that too. When you sign up for PlayStation Plus, you could save your games on the cloud, but that's only if you have PlayStation to PlayStation, console to console. I've been saying for a very long time that the whole concept of the console wars, that's gone. That's in the past. There's no such thing like that anymore. That is something that the fans, that the fanboys are trying to still put out there. There's no console wars right now. Why? Because the PC gaming market has grown tremendously. And I do feel like there are more and more people really leaning more towards PC gaming over console gaming. Now, if you have people that do both, they can get the benefit of both sides. Xbox Game Pass on PC, at least you'll get a chance to play some of the Xbox exclusives there. And then if you happen to have a PlayStation 5, then boom, you have that covered. And then also, if you're a big Nintendo fan, more than likely you own a Switch too. And the whole concept of exclusivity was never such a big deal, only until recently, because you have Microsoft buying up all of these major studios and the whole thing with Activision, Blizzard. It started off with Bethesda. That was going to be a major change in the market. You had all the Sony fanboys rioting online, but you knew that that wasn't going to last. At least those of us who are familiar with the industry, those of us who are familiar with history, we knew that kind of stuff wasn't going to last for a very long time, especially if you've been paying close attention to Microsoft. Yes, they want stuff under their belt because they want to be able to take full advantage of releases like a Call of Duty, a Starfield, an Indiana Jones. But if their main focus is going to be more of, cloud gaming, software as a service, then it only makes sense just to have these things under their belt because they want to be able to offer it through their service. Is this shocking news that Starfield is now potentially going to be available on the PlayStation 5, or Indiana Jones is going to be available on PlayStation 5 after its exclusivity window? No, I don't care. It doesn't bother me because I have the means to play whatever I want. Now, I know a lot of people don't have that, but they're going to be able to get their chance. You don't see Sony doing this, really. It's only recently that Sony has announced that they are releasing some titles to PC gamers, but notice that they're doing it to PC gamers because they also understand the landscape has changed. PC is an important market and sector of the gaming landscape that these major people have to pay attention to. Microsoft has already had that ability to do that, and they've been doing that for a while now. That's why they don't have to really focus so much on console sales. That's just like an added bonus for them. Yeah, maybe it's costing them money. In my opinion, and business-wise, maybe it's a small price to pay just to promote and get your shit out there. Now, will this mean that Xbox, Microsoft will cease making consoles in the future? I can see them kind of waning down. There are the rumors that there's going to be this new Xbox slimmer console that's supposed to be coming out, which is supposed to be digital, all digital. I can foresee them still putting out consoles. So they're not going to go really the route of Sega, where they're just going to cease producing their own consoles and just becoming like a licensing partner. I think Xbox will continue to have some sort of footprint in the console landscape. But don't be surprised if Microsoft's focus is really on multi-platform, cloud gaming, because I think that's where their strengths lie right now. And I know a lot of people, especially on the developer side, are kind of against that because how do developers get paid? What's the rev share like, right? Totally understand that. And then of course there's then they also rotate games in and out. I had a recent incident where just on a whim, I said, you know what? I have not played a Grand Theft Auto game in years, in a very long time, maybe since San Andreas, because I got tired of the whole open world, nonsensical missions and running around without any clear-cut direction. I got so tired of that stuff. But I decided that, because I saw it on Game Pass, I'm like, you know what? Let me try Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time. And I did, and I was getting into it because they changed a lot since I last played it. I love the switching between the different characters. I love that there's a clear-cut storyline that you could just follow. You don't have to go off and do all of these random side missions if you don't want to. And then a week after I started playing it, it got removed from the Game Pass. And I was like, what the fuck? I was just getting into this. But that's the downside of a service like that. It's unfortunate. It's a bad side effect. But I also get it. You know, there are certain contract times and terms and windows that they're allowed to do stuff. And if anything, if I was so hardcore about wanting to continue to play Grand Theft Auto 5, which I kind of am, that will force me to want to go and buy it now. So that's how developers, publishers, they get their money too. First time will be free, but the next one's going to cost you. And that's basically, it sounds like what they're trying to do here with their major titles that are exclusive. It's going to be exclusive for a period of time, and then they're going to allow it to be released on other platforms, which makes perfect sense to me. So people who own Xboxes can still enjoy the game. People who own PC can still enjoy the game. And if you happen to own only a PlayStation 5 or only a Switch or a Switch 2 whenever that comes out, you'll still be able to play it. You're just going to have to wait a little bit. Do you see Sony doing that? Not really. So this whole concept of the console wars nonsense, I mean, I never believed it anymore. Yes, it was such a thing back in the 90s. That was different. But of course, with the internet and all that, everyone's up in arms. I'm already seeing headlines that Microsoft has thrown in the towel. Xbox will cease the console wars. You know, what kind of bullshit is that? What console wars? There's no war. That's all internet fodder. That's all fanboy fodder. It's all fabricated. It's all social media bullshit. I'm just going to give my honest opinion, and I am not on either side right now. I am just looking at it as an observer, as a fan of the industry, as someone who used to work in the industry, who understands how things work, who still have friends connected to the industry, and we talk all the time. I didn't know about any of this prior to this kind of report, but it makes sense to me. It's something that I've been saying for some time now, that Microsoft is slowly really pushing their focus on cloud gaming, multi-platform support, the route that Sega took, but they're still going to have their footprint in the console market. Should they still put consoles out there? Should they still be releasing their own hardware? I don't know. I don't mind it. If they're going to want to do it, let them do it. I just think maybe it's possible that we're not going to see as frequent of a release like we've seen before. And if you're a fanboy of either side, of course, you're going to make a big deal out of it. But is this the death knell to Microsoft and Xbox? No, of course not. If you can have an Xbox exclusive title sell like gangbusters on your home console or on PC, and then 3 months, 4 months later, you could maybe make an additional amount of money by licensing it off to Sony for PlayStation 5, licensing it off for Nintendo for the Switch, and especially if we're dealing with an all-digital world landscape in the near future, so you don't have to make physical copies of these. You could just offer it on the PlayStation Network or downloadable on Switch too. Who's going to say no to extra money? Microsoft is open to doing that. You don't see Sony doing that. Instead, Sony is paying attention to making a PlayStation Portal that doesn't really make any sense, or a PlayStation VR that looks like it's swimming. Like, neck is right here, the water is here. It's floundering because you have the Quest killing it. And where are all the titles? We only got 2 from the recent announcement. Right, presentation. I don't think that's going to get supported that much anytime, like in the near future. Yeah, and then there's rumors that maybe we're going to be getting a PSP again. Good luck with that. Yeah, I don't. When you have the Nintendo Switch killing it on the portable market, and you have the Steam Deck, and of course you have your Ioneos and your Lenovo's and your ROG Allies, whatever. You have so many things happening now on the portability market. Whether it's PC related or Switch, it's going to become very saturated. And we already know that Sony does not know how to market their own products properly. The one thing that would help Sony is if they were allowing their titles to be licensed off. But they still have that mindset that exclusivity is king. So I wonder if there's a stat out there that kind of can poll how many people have an Xbox console or a PlayStation 5 console and have a very strong PC that's very capable of PC gaming these days. So depending on how you feel about things, you basically have the best of both worlds. But I'm curious as to what all of you have to think. Definitely let me know as to all your thoughts about all of this stuff.